Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to Letters from America, a road trip podcast searching for the Swedish footprint in the United States. I'm your host, Martin Van, and today I've parked a Volvo at Volvo. And with me in the Airstream is Thomas McIntyre Schultz.
Yes.
From Volvo.
From Volvo.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. The reason that I wanted you to come here is that you and I actually work together.
Yes.
Because this project is supported by the car that I'm driving, and you are my point of contact.
Yes.
And today is the first time we met.
Yeah.
And the Swedish footprint of Volvo, last year you celebrated 70 years in the United States.
Yep.
And that was the point, I'm not really at, but there was that, we called it PV car.
Yeah.
That was shipped to...
PV444.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was shipped to America in 1955, is that right?
Yes. Yes. To California first.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which you wouldn't think because it's probably the farthest state from Sweden, other than maybe Hawaii, Alaska.
Yeah. Maybe that's the state that was most interested in Volvo.
I think if I remember correctly, there was actually a guy who was really interested in a guy in California who was really interested in bringing Volvos to the US. So that's how they ended up in California.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the first question is, really, we're doing this together, and we've been communicating on a distance for about 6 months now. And it's been lovely. It's great working together with you, even though we've never actually met until now.
Yeah.
But Volvo is a huge part of this tour. And why, in a way?
Well, I mean, we couldn't have you driving across America talking about Sweden in any other car.
No,
I don't think.
maybe.
I mean, in some ways, quite literally, we are the only Swedish car on sale in the US, if you ignore Koenigsegg. But I mean, Swedish footprint in America, you need a car. There's really,
appreciate that.
Really us.
Yeah, Volvo in Sweden has a fantastic history, and like all these, I thought about it on the way here that there are these specific brands that started out early, that you're part of that sort of family of cars, and they're still doing it because you got Ford, Mercedes, Audi, and all of those sort of classic cars, and Volvo is a huge part of that. And it started out with enthusiasm in a way, mechanics who wanted to build something, and Volvo has that same history. Are anything we can sort of, if you go back to Volvo, how that all started, just to tell the listener where Volvo really came from to where you are today? Because today, I would argue that you have a different direction than the sort of tractor Volvo, the truck Volvo that started it all.
I think yes and no, but just to go back to the start a bit, I think part of maybe what you're talking about is Volvo, I think, has a sort of, for the size of the company we are in the US relative to the size of the US, we're actually quite small.
Yeah.
But I think what you're getting at is we have sort of an outsize relevance and impact, which I think is actually sort of the same as Sweden and America generally.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, for a few reasons. One is, just from the very beginning, the reason that people were interested in bringing Volvos to the US was actually early on they were doing a lot of racing with the PV44, rally racing.
Oh, really?
Yes, because they were like, oh, this car is surprisingly fast. It's really well made. It's very durable, very reliable. Yeah. So that's sort of how, kind of that, maybe a little bit of that tractor essence to it. But no, then...
but I meant tractor as in, this is like a machine car.
Yes,
it's reliable.
Mechanical.
It won't break.
Yes.
It will take you where you want to go, but it's not... a racing car. It's the traditional view of looking at Volvo.
But I think then also, why it seems like everyone in America has a Volvo story of some sort. My mom had a Volvo, or my friend had a Volvo. This kind of thing is, it has a sort of outsized place in the industry in terms of influence, and part of that is just sort of like the cultural image Volvos have taken on. We actually I work with some people out in Los Angeles who they place cars in movies, like, not a paid thing, but just, Steven Spielberg, whoever it is, he wants a Volvo for this character. Can we borrow one? So we do that a lot. And we learned that it's Volvo and one other brand that are always like the go-to for certain characters in American movies. So if you want to portray someone as reliable and steady and sort of solid, it's a Volvo. And then if you want to portray someone as a real jerk, it's this other brand that I won't mention because I don't think that's fair to them. But
you can write it down.
I'll tell you after.
It's always the teacher, the professor, the sort of anti-hero that you know,
but the ones you can count on.
The unexpected guy that sort of saves it in the end. He drives a Volvo with corduroy pants. No, but that's really true. Because you mentioned the Swedish story, and because there's a story of Volvo that sort of aligns with the Swedish impact, like you said, in America and in the world. Because we have these engineering things that comes from Sweden that are somewhat surprising to people and also surprising to us, that that's a Swedish invention or that came from Sweden. And you got, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you invented the seatbelt as we know it.
The 3-point safety belt, yes.
That's a Volvo thing.
Yep.
The side airbags.
Side airbags. Yeah, and curtain
not
airbags.
The airbag itself, but the collision sort of bubble that you end up. That's also a Volvo.
Yeah, the side airbags and the side curtain airbags that cover the windows as well.
And the automatic stop as well.
Yes, yep.
That's also Volvo.
Yes.
That's a Volvo invention.
Yeah, a lot of them. We'd like to say that there's a little bit of Volvo in every car.
Oh, yeah.
So even if you're not driving a Volvo, you have some Volvo inventions in your car.
But if you go back to the start of Volvo, that is also the invention of, what do you call that in English? We call it kullager in Sweden. I don't know, the SKF invention.
The ball bearing.
The ball bearing,
yeah.
And that is also an invention of the actual idea, I'm rolling.
Yes. That's
right.
where the brand
it
came
all
from.
started.
Yeah.
So it's like, it started as an engineering invention company, which sounds like I'm just promoting you now, but it's amazing, because what I'm trying to get at is that I'm halfway in this journey now. I got 6 months behind me. I got 6 months to go. And everywhere I go and meet this, there's always some sort of particular idea of Swedish engineering that sort of got them there. I did this and I did that. I met people in Silicon Valley. I met, there's some little thing. I got a patent for this and I moved on. It could be, anything from candy to a program.
Yes.
And that it feels like that is typical Swedish.
Yeah. I mean, well, all the innovations, safety innovations you mentioned, also the lambda sound sensor.
What is that?
That's a sensor that we introduced in the 70s that reduced emissions from cars by about 90%.
Is that also a Volvo thing?
That's also a Volvo thing. Yeah. So it was, kind of in response to California emission standards. They're looking at how do we make cars less polluting, and this sensor that basically just measures kind of the oxygen mix in the oxygen and fuel mix that's going into the engine to make it more precise and more accurate, so that it's not releasing all these unnecessary pollutants. And that's also in every car now. Now every combustion engine
that is
car.
like the standard of.
Yes.
I think the point of all this layup, promoting Volvo as this engineering company, because you're not Swedish.
No.
You're an American,
yes.
and you work in this Swedish environment. It is, I think the question that I'm trying to figure out in my head is, do you feel that Swedish presence in your daily work as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's it like to work on a place like this?
Well, it's quite Swedish, I would say.
And what is that?
But I want to kind of address it in two ways, because I think one, you sort of talk about this like mechanical engineering aspect, and I think what appeals to people about Volvos and what sets us apart from other car makers in the industry and in this country is, I mean, you're Swedish, you know this. There's sort of a simplicity of solutions in Swedish engineering that I think isn't present in all other cultures necessarily. So by which I mean it's sort of finding simple, elegant solutions to things and not overcomplicating things. So
I think you're right.
You know, the way that this is, I'll get back to Sweden, but there was, my grandmother, when I was little, got me this like space pen that the US had invented. And it was so that it was because they were going to space and there was no gravity in space. And so the pen, like the ink wouldn't come out because it needed the gravity to pull it down. And they went to incredible lengths to make this pen that worked in space. And then the Russians just used a pencil.
Oh yeah.
And that's sort of like that. They're not Swedish, obviously, but you know, it's that like simplicity of solution where it's like, okay, if there's a simpler way to get this done, let's do it that way, rather than trying to over-engineer and overcomplicate sort of simple solutions. And that's what I think you see sort of in the cars, and why those, you know, the early cars are really known for their mechanical robustness and, you know, ability to be repaired and things like that, because the Swedes tend to, if they can avoid it, not overcomplicate the engineering of the cars.
Yeah, I think that's a Swedish trait in a way, that we're sort of practical, almost to an extent that we, as a people, you know, can be perceived as boring, because we need to be practical. Do you find that even in the workplace? Is this workplace? Do you sort of have Swedish colleagues coming, or is it American people working for a Swedish brand?
It is primarily American people working for a Swedish brand, but we have, I mean, most of the cars we sell in the US right now, the vast majority of cars are coming from Europe and from Sweden primarily. And, you know, so we have a lot of contact with our Swedish colleagues. And I would say, even though that this company, Volvo Cars USA specifically, is primarily Americans working for a Swedish company, it has a very Swedish culture.
Yeah, exactly. What was that?
Yeah,
What's
so I think it's very flat. It's not very hierarchical.
You mean flat like that?
Yes,
okay.
yeah. It's quite, I mean, Swedes are quite committed to equality and fairness. And so the way that translates in sort of a corporate culture, I think, is that it's not like, oh, I'm at this level, so my opinion matters more than someone at this level. There's almost a free speech aspect to it, you know? I always like to go, we have an intranet, like an internal webpage where people can leave comments, and I always love to look at what the Swedes are saying, because they go wild. They will say anything. Yeah, so it's very, you know, it's not like...
No filter.
Yeah. They don't fear other people in the company, which I think is really nice. There's not a fear of being punished for speaking your mind or anything like that.
You have to say it.
Yeah.
This is what I think.
To the practical aspect. You need to know what the employees are thinking.
Exactly.
So.
You need to know. Why shouldn't I say it? I mean, and it's also, you know, the idea that this is happening, so it's a fact.
Yes.
So everybody needs to know.
Exactly.
But Thomas, the guy working at Volvo, sitting in front of me.
Yes.
Who is Thomas?
I'm working in communications at Volvo, living in New York. I've actually been at Volvo for almost 10 years now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, a lot of different positions. And it's actually funny that I ended up at a Swedish company, because my family were not Swedish at all, you know, by blood, but for some reason keep being drawn back to these Swedish entities and influences in America. My grandfather worked in Sweden when my father was younger.
Oh yeah.
At Karolinska and Stockholm, and then Sahlgrenska.
The hospital.
Yes, doing some research there. I did a exchange year, a gap year in Sweden, in Jönköping, and then
that's interesting.
And also my parents.
But why? Yeah. Sorry, but what led you to do a gap year in Jönköping of all towns? But well, Jönköping
was a random placement. I had just selected Sweden, but it was.
But why did you want to go to Sweden at that point?
It was because my father had lived there, so I was curious. They did it in like the 60s and 70s, and so I had sort of heard about it, and I really mostly wanted to do a gap year, and I was like, what country should I do? I guess Sweden works out.
Sweden. So you stayed in Jönköping and studied for...
Yeah. I did
for
a year of high school. Yeah.
How was that?
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Jönköping's I think Jönköping is a bit underrated. I think very pretty with the lake right there.
With the big lake.
And I think it has the best kebab pizza in Sweden. Yeah. That might be controversial.
You're the second person that I meet on this journey that sort of Swedish pizza. So it's a weird thing.
It's really weird, and it's actually, I would say, really unexpected from Swedes.
Yeah, exactly, because we can put anything on a pizza.
Yeah, anything on the pizza. And what I've never understood, you go to Sweden and you go to a pizzeria, and like everyone gets an individual pizza, but it's humongous, which is also not very Swedish. Like it doesn't feel like it's the right size. No. It's so big.
I don't know why that is, but we have a special love for that dish, the pizza.
Yeah.
It's almost that we sort of adopted it and made it Swedish.
Yeah, I would agree. And I don't think you can get Swedish style pizza anywhere else.
No, if you ever go, I mean, it's just weird.
So anyone listening who's going to go to Sweden, you have to try
You can have a pizza in Sweden without nobody blinking with French fries. That's not even a thing.
I love that one.
That's just... but still, I want to know more about you. You live in New York, in Manhattan. You've been in Jönköping, over here.
Yes.
Have you always been a New Yorker, or where do you come from?
I come from Pennsylvania originally, so
that's a bit south.
Yeah, not so far from New York, but now
it's easy. It's an easy drive.
Yes, or train ride even.
Or a train, But you're in a car company, so
so you got to drive a Volvo, of course. No, I came to New York for school and just never left. And, I love it.
In the middle of the world, in a way.
Yeah. I mean, well, especially right now. I mean, you're in New York and we have the World Cup going on. We just had the Knicks win. So there's a lot going on. A lot of celebrations in New York.
But the life of living we talked about working on a Swedish company, and you live in Manhattan and you take your car out here, and I know because we've had contact frequently. You live a busy life. There's a lot of things happening. You travel a lot. You visit Sweden often also, as I, and it's just a high tempo world for you, right?
Yeah.
How do you sort of cope with that type of living? Is that just to keep you going, or?
It's an interesting question. I think I get a lot of energy from it. I think that, I don't find it, I would always rather be busy than bored, for lack of a better term. I would rather have too much going on than too little. So I like it a lot. And I think it's, recently we were launching EX60 and I was traveling like all over for basically like all of April and May.
Because your job is sort of telling the story about the launch, right?
Yes, and particularly for the US audience. So for example, we took some US media over to Sweden to experience our overseas delivery program and to see the start of production of the EX60 in Torslanda.
In Gothenburg.
In Gothenburg, yes. And then we went to Spain and had everyone drive it for the first time. And so that was a lot happening all at once. That's not happening all the time quite like that. But yeah, it's things like that. But it's so fun because it's talking to people who are getting to experience our products for the first time and their unique Swedishness.
What's the next? Where is Volvo heading? And where are you heading with Volvo?
I think everyone in this building behind us is really excited to get EX60 here in the US. There's been a lot of talk about, electric cars in the US and are Americans interested in them or not? I think that this is one of those cars that will kind of break that barrier for Americans because it solves the reason.
Is it secret?
No, we can talk about it. Yeah. We can talk about it as much as you like. Yeah.
You want to plug it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No. I know. I mean, I think the reason people don't gravitate to electric cars, essentially we identified 3 reasons: the range, how far do they go, the charging, how fast can they charge, can it be as quick or almost as quick as filling up a gas car, and the cost. They were more expensive, and EX60 kind of solves all 3 of these. It goes 400 miles up to in certain variants. You can charge it as quickly as you can get a cup of coffee. It's about like 15 to 20 minutes to get a nearly full charge. And then the cost is equivalent to an XC60 plug-in hybrid. So there's no more barriers. And I just think it's the right car for this market at this time. And have you driven an electric car?
No, I haven't.
So
this is a hybrid. So sometimes I drive an electric car.
Yeah.
I don't know why, and it sounds like I'm like conservative. It should be, but it feels like it feels. Maybe I have to edit this. I don't know, but it feels that if I'm doing it myself, putting gas into it, I know that it's filled and it's gonna work, and I got gas and.
So I think maybe while you're here today, we should have you drive an electric car, because I will say I am a big car enthusiast.
Yeah.
Actually, I did something after I graduated college. I drove a Volvo across the country, just like you're doing now. Yeah. I mean, everyone's got to do an American road trip at some point.
I want to talk about that. How much time do we have?
Yeah. But so I love cars. That was a gas Volvo, manual transmission, great. But for 95% of what people are doing with cars, I would say at least, electric cars are just better.
Yeah.
They're better to drive. Quieter, smoother, easier, less
but
mechanical.
I think that people are maybe unexperienced, a little bit prejudiced, but you mentioned the charging thing, and if you're closer to sort of solving that, as you mentioned, with this new model, maybe you're doing something again with that history of finding something that will affect the market. I don't know how you did that, but for people like me, that's a big threshold.
Yeah.
I need to find a charging. I need to wait while I can just stop at any gas station and fill it up and just get on my way. So and since I have no experience of driving an electric, that's the prejudice I got, that I don't want to be searching for the right station, or I want to stop anywhere. I want to go anywhere, and I want to be in control.
Yeah.
And I know that it sounds like a grumpy old man. But that's sort of the thing that I have.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, you're in a quite special situation because you're towing a big Airstream and you're driving across the country. So you don't have like a home base that you're going back to.
No, but I'm not. This is not a situation that you target for.
I would say that you're right. This is not our target electric customer right now. But it's funny because our global CEO Håkan Samuelsson, he was over here last month in May. And he said something which I think is very true, which is, it's kind of funny that Americans don't have as much enthusiasm for electric cars, because it's actually like the perfect country for it, because most people have like one spot, garage, driveway somewhere that they park their car every night. And so if you plug it in at home, which like 90% of electric car drivers do every day, you never have to think about filling it up.
That's a good point in a way.
New York is sort of the exception to that in America, but for the most places,
but New York is the exception of everything. You can't compare that. We just met, you and I, and I think this conversation that we're having could be longer. We don't have much time, but you mentioned road tripping.
Yes.
When was this? Since I'm doing a road trip, I want to know about you.
2014, so quite a while ago.
In a Volvo?
In a Volvo.
Yeah.
Yes. For the Volvo enthusiasts, it was a V70R with a manual transmission. Wagon, of course. Yeah.
And where did you go? From coast to coast?
Yeah. So I graduated school in New York, and I...
So even back then, you were like a Volvo head. So you've been in Sweden. There's something Swedish about you. Have you checked?
Yeah, I did check.
You did?
The genetic stuff. No Swedish.
No Scandinavian, nothing?
No.
No, I'm not trusting that.
Yeah, I it appeals to me. Something about it. But I left school in New York, went to my parents in Pennsylvania. I went to see my sister in Colorado, stopped in Chicago, just went all over. Basically made it down to Los Angeles. I had to do Highway 1 up the California coast.
It's a beautiful ride.
Yes, out to SF. My regret now, though, I want to do it again someday, is going from SF up to like Portland or Seattle, because that part also looks really beautiful, maybe a little bit less crowded.
If you're doing that, I love this trip that I'm doing. Everywhere I go is just a new experience, and it's a mind-blowing experience sometimes, because places that you don't expect are just beautiful and lovely, and the people are super nice. And I this is just. But one thing that I was not expecting, because I went from San Francisco over to Reno. I had a meeting with a guest in Reno, and then I was heading back east. So if you're ever in Reno, heading to Colorado, you need to drive on Highway 50. I'm saying this to everybody. Mm-hmm. Go to Highway 50. It is promoted as the loneliest highway in the United States. It's not really, but it is a very lonely highway.
Yeah.
And it's just straight lines going through the desert and between mountains, and it will last for about 4 or 5 hours. It's just a beautiful drive.
I mean, I went, I guess you started east and went west first.
Yeah.
So I had never,
south.
You were
yeah.
south. So I went sort of on like 70 out to, basically made it to Denver, and then sort of continued on 70, but then was taking spotters. Like for people from the East Coast, because America, I mean, you've seen it now. It's so many different landscapes. It's in some ways many different countries.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Northeast only, and like had never really done much on the West Coast. And like once you drive past Denver and start going into the Rocky Mountains, and then you get into the desert and like Arizona and Utah, it's like just crazy looking. It's like nothing you see on the East Coast of the United States. That was to me the most sort of exciting part of it. Like if I said, oh, do one section of a cross country road trip, I'd say go Denver to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I would say that too, because that's when it shifts so much.
And you see like several different climates within that, different landscapes and everything.
I agree with that. And also, I think that it's easy to say that, there's so many states in the United States, and each state is like its own country. That's not really true in my experience. I would say that if you were to divide America, it's like 3 countries. You have the East Coast and the middle, and then you got the West with the mountains, and that's also like 3 different personalities.
Where's the third one? So West, North,
the East and the West, the sort of middle.
Okay, so you're putting
I'm putting it like 3 stripes.
Okay,
like that.
Got it. So as someone from the Northeast, I would also argue that the Southeast is a different country too.
Yeah, I got a funny story about that actually, because I met a guy in Alabama, and because I went out, there's a place in Alabama called Thorsby, that is a Swedish town, and I met him up there, and I told him that after Thorsby I was heading down to New Orleans, and he said, New Orleans? Those are Cajun people. those are weird. But I'm, you're Southern as well. Yeah. For him, it was just a different. He was the same.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that. Maybe I have to edit that also. I don't know.
No, I get it. New Orleans also is a very distinctive city. I mean, you can't confuse it for anything else.
No, that is a country of its own, I would say. New Orleans, that city. It's a little bit. It's not similar at all, but in the same way that Manhattan is not representative of New York even. Manhattan is Manhattan, and then everything around it, and then you got America. So it's just different.
Have you been down to Miami yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one where I'm like, that's sort of a different country too.
Yeah. There's something about Florida that I can't really put my finger on why I like it.
Yeah.
Because it's, it goes against everything that I've sort of come from. It's very flat. It's very new in a way. Everything is new and built. It's long roads, neighborhoods, and then you go down to the Keys, and it's just a weird place in a way. But I just love Florida.
Yeah.
It's just a marvelous place to be. I don't know why. It's just, I love it.
It's huge. It's sort of deceptively huge.
Yeah.
Like to drive from like the top of Florida to the bottom is a really long time.
Like 10 hours.
Yeah.
It's just crazy big. Yeah. So, as you can see on the map, there's a lot of signatures over here. And all of these are the guests of the show. And you've been in New York for a long time in your life, but you're from Pennsylvania. That's not really far in comparison of traveling across the Atlantic, but you're still from there, and you've been to Sweden, you've been living in Jönköping. You got some sort of mysterious Swedish roots in you that we can't really pinpoint, but there's something going on that we don't know. But the question is, where is home?
New York.
Easy.
New York forever. Yeah. Forever. I think once you've lived in New York for a while, and if you have a New York personality, it's hard to go anywhere else.
You really do. I draw a line here.
Yeah.
Could I get your signature?
Sure. Yes.
Do you want
my real signature, or do you want to be able to read it?
No, I want your real signature.
Okay.
The one that's...
It's initials, yeah. It's more like a scribble.
What is it about New York? Besides the obvious, I mean, we all know it's the center of the world in a way. There are a few towns that might compete. First that comes to mind is maybe Tokyo, maybe Paris, maybe. You know, there's a few towns across the world. Rio maybe could compete with it to be that sort of hub that is. What I mean by that is that it's not representative for the country where it is. It is its own being in a way, and New York is a city like that.
Yes.
So that's what I meant by obvious. But for you, what is it about New York?
I mean, so I'll give you I think both of the answers I'm going to give you are sort of basic, but I'll explain. I mean, one is really, I think can be true of anyone anywhere, which is I've been there so long, it's where my family and my friends are. Yeah. And so that's it's as simple as that.
That's your sort of network.
It's like I have the majority of people I love in the world are in New York. So that's very easy.
That's a very, that's the most basic thing. That's really the answer you need in a way. You don't need anything else.
But for people who aren't in love with my friends in particular, this is sort of a base. It's like, it's actually funny because it really solidified for me when the Knicks won 2 weeks ago. There's an energy in New York that I don't feel elsewhere, and I don't mean that strictly as a good thing because I don't think everyone likes it necessarily, but and I don't mean it in the sort of there's Broadway shows you can go to and so much to do, but there's always something going on, and everyone in New York is always up to something. They're always, it's not a static place in any way.
No.
And I think part of it's the nature, my apartment's not big enough to be static in forever. You've got to go out and do things. So I think it's that there's just actually, this is a really silly example, but the other day there was a car accident in front of my building, which is not very common in Manhattan because people don't get going very fast.
No.
But and there's this big loud bang, and everyone came down from the apartments because they're all super curious and not everyone can see it, and to just figure out what's going on and talking to each other, and everyone's just everyone's curious, everyone's trying to figure things out, up to things. They're always doing things. Yeah. Sometimes really annoying things, but
but my impression of that city, I don't know how I can describe it, but it's if you look at the piano, there's a certain, if you just took a tone on the piano, there's a sort of resonance to it. And New York has that. It's like a tone that happens. It's just that you're sort of trapped in that. And I don't mean the noise or the ambulances or the whistles, it's just there's a frequency in a way. And it's very notable for me when you leave, because it's it disappears.
Yes. I think that contributes to the speed of it too. Everyone's
I think so too.
Yeah. And there's just always people on the street, which I love. And that actually makes me feel very safe in a way. I like people being around, but I go to other cities sometimes and where are all the people?
Like a Swedish small town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can find this here as well. I mean, we talked about road tripping. I drove 2 hours through Texas. I didn't meet one car. That's just...
Yeah.
And you start to get nervous. What's going to happen? What if something happens?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, It was a pleasure talking to you, Thomas, and also to meet you now, today.
Yes, it was great to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, it's just great.
And I think there's something sort of cosmically correct about it being right in the middle of your journey.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just it fits.
Yes.
And also we got to talk about the car.
Yeah.
We got to plug the new car.
Of course. That's my job, right?
That's your job. But also the history of Volvo, to just wrap it up a little bit. It sort of follows the history of Sweden's presence in America with what's the English word?
Ingenuity?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really a Swedish footprint in the culture of America that people recognize.
Yes, and that's
what this show is all about.
Yeah, and I would just encourage everyone, when you're watching movies from now on, look for the Volvos, because they're like.
And you're going to tell me about that other brand now.
Yes, I'll tell you. Once you turn it off,
Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks for having me.
You have listened to Letters from America, a weekly road trip podcast celebrating the Swedish heritage in the United States. Produced in collaboration with the Embassy of Sweden in Washington, D.C., Volvo Cars USA, Volvo Trucks USA, and Airstream.